So my next section is on inflation and interest rates. Fed just had a 0.75 point increase. We're starting to see the effects of it. I have this here kind of as a mindset item that we're all prepared for what's going to happen. Remember, for the Fed to control inflation, the Fed rate, has to be higher than inflation. So the last time this happened, prime went up to 22%. Isn't that interesting? I think back then, in those days, they were still saying inflation was like 9 or 10%, but the real inflation rate was really like 20 or so. And the prime rate went to 22%. And that's what it's going to take to fix this one. Uh, See one of my posts. I made a post a month ago, and my calculation, taking the government's own numbers, but recalculating it, was 19.4%. And I think we're still right around that level because things aren't really backing off. I mean, of course, gasoline is going down a bit, but it's already substantially higher than it was just 4 or 5 months ago. The real inflation rate is much higher than what is being reported. If you recalculate the things yourself, the components, you'll see that that's what it is. I don't know how they get away with talking about it that it's only 8%. It's significantly higher. So real estate prices have already started to decline. And that's kind of a good news, bad news story. The good news is it makes housing more affordable. The bad news is it usually lowers the number of starts because the people that build the homes don't want to risk the money. A home's a very expensive item. Apartments are very expensive items. And when the prices start to decline, the investments start to tail off. And when the investments tail off, employment tails off. And construction is the largest employment industry in the country. Construction and the items related to construction. And when construction starts declining, that's when we go into a deeper recession, and it takes years to get out of. I've been through several real estate recessions, and they all seem to last between 2 and 4 years. And the last couple of them lasted 3 to 4 years. It took three recessions to tame inflation the last time. Well, we're already in a recession, and we may come out of it slightly. I don't know, but if things continue the way they are, we'll probably go back into one. In other words, a recession is the definition of economic contraction for 2 quarters in a row. So the first and second quarter of 2022 were both less than the quarters in the same time last year, or the overall economic activity declined. And I'll be surprised if the third quarter also is in a decline. So I think we're going to be in it, and the Fed seems to be really willing to plunge the economy into a recession. And when that happens, some of the results are unpredictable. We just need to be prepared for it. Now, this is an interesting one. The student loan forgiveness is another 400 to 900 billion dollars of printed money. Now, when we pumped out the 7 trillion with stimulus checks and additional unemployment checks and had an eviction moratorium, we had some progressive economists saying there wasn't going to be inflation, and now look at what we've got on our hands. Well, this is much less predictable than simply handing people checks, but they're adding to the money supply another huge chunk on top of the money they're going to spend in the tax bill.